Sometimes you need a week away just to appreciate the beauty that is around us in the people that we meet. Sometimes we don't see each other as beautiful. Sometimes we see each other as less than beautiful. But actually, when I look around, we're all beautiful creations of God and something to be celebrated. So I give God thanks for that this morning. So I said earlier that we are on Together We Will, part 1. And I guess I should tell you what Together We Will is. I think I might have put something in the newsletter about it, but let me tell you. Alachua County Faith Leaders Alliance is the group that we formed 2 years ago in August. With other faith leaders, we've been building this group up to bring faith leaders of all different traditions together. And the idea was to give the faith leaders support from each other. And so it was started in the August, and by September we knew Richard Spencer was coming, and then we went into action and reacted. And we, did combined statements to the press. We made safe places. Some people went and did interviews, and so that was our first thing. And then we'd just gotten over that, and there was a shooting somewhere. And we just got over that, and there was another shooting somewhere. And we just got over that, and there was another shooting somewhere. And so this group that's there to support each other is there to support each other, but ended up being reactive to everything. So when it happened, we go and spend time, many of you came, spent time at the synagogues when it was a Jewish shooting. We spent time with the Islamic community when there was so much oppression with Islamophobia, and so on and so on. And after one of these events, we kept saying we keep seeing each other at these events that are just awful. And we find ourselves meeting because there is something happening that is oppressing people, killing people, discriminating against people, whatever it was. There was conversion therapy in there somewhere, and there was, and we just said, what can we do? How can we stop this? How can we make a difference as a group, not just by reacting to, but being proactive? And one of the leaders was in the group, and she is the pastor, Melissa, just over the road at Celebration UMC. And she said, surely we can do something together. And we looked at the ways that we could maybe come up with a community commitment that said, actually, together we will. And then we have some list of things that we could do. And so Jackie told you about International Peace Day on Saturday. It's 12 till 6. But Together We will be launched at 5 o'clock as part of that. I really hope that you will come to Depot Park and get behind this. And we will. I will send out through a newsletter how you can sign up to this community commitment. And I will tell you some of it, and Sandra will tell you some more of it next week. But when you listen to that reading from Ecclesiastes this morning, it talks of that three-stranded cord and how hard it is to break that cord. And this passage is often used as a marriage passage. So there you've got the husband, the wife, or wife and wife, or husband and husband, or whatever terminology you wish to use. And then the third cord is God. And with God, that cord cannot be broken. But I want to use this passage in another way, which has been used before as well, in that as a community, sometimes we think our little piece doesn't make a difference. But actually, if we do a little piece with somebody, and then that person does it with somebody else, that person does it with somebody else, we can make a huge difference. But we actually have to make that difference starting with ourselves. And sometimes we don't like doing that, because when we have to self-examine, we actually have to see that there are some things about us that perhaps are not as godlike as they could be. Now I know that some of us are not very godlike when we're driving. Some of us are not very godlike when we see some of the news articles, but I'm not talking about that kind of self-examination. I'm talking about going to the depths of who we are. And then taking that, when we've done that, out into the community. When two or more live together in any kind of society and join their powers together in the pursuit of anything that is important, it is better than one person doing it. Because somehow when two people do it, it's done much more cheerfully. And the accomplishments are amazing. We can support each other. We heard in that reading, if you support each other, you can get so much more done. Because sometimes we get tired. Some of you have been social justice activists for like 50, 60 years. And you get tired. But those of us who haven't can lift you up and give you the strength to keep going. Because this is not just about us. This is about the kids who have got a community that's disenfranchised and need us to fix it. This is not just about us, but this is about our Hispanic community who are being targeted because of who they are. This is not just about us, but this is our African American community that the system oppresses time and time again. This is not just about us, this is about our trans community, our gay community. This is about every single community that is oppressed. And I know some of you may be in one of those communities or even more. It doesn't matter, you sit back and let us help you. We need you to help us too. We need you to help us understand. We need you to help us to be able to take action. And then we really can change what can happen in the world. Look at Hong Kong recently. I don't know how many of you watched the news in Hong Kong, then I'm sure that Hong Kong started out with 1 or 2 people who told 2 or 3 more, who told 10 more, who told 100 more, and before you knew it, a quarter of Hong Kong were out in the streets demanding action. It started with 1 or 2 people. But things changed. Things changed when Jesus wanted to make change. It started with one person, Jesus and his friends, and they came together and they made change. We had that example the other week about the fruit and the vine, and we are all the branches of the vine, and we need all of us and all of that fruit to make for a really good harvest. And that harvest is a world that our children can grow up in and not be discriminated against and not be shot down. So Together We Will is about making a commitment to make a difference, to challenge ourselves and be willing to step outside of that which is comfortable and we would like to sit in, to discomfort. Now, Blake's moved. Where's Blake?
Right here.
Oh, right there. We've usually got such bright shirts on. I'm going to get you to put the next slide on. The first thing that we ask in this commitment is that together we commit to making our community a safe and welcoming place for all people. Can we commit to making our community a safe place?
Yes.
Well, I think it's a hard call. I'm sure that Jesus wanted to make everywhere he went a safe place. And he did his best, his disciples did their best, but it wasn't safe for all people. It wasn't welcoming for all people. That's why Jesus told us stories like the Samaritan woman, because they were disenfranchised because of where they lived. And we in Gainesville don't have a safe and welcoming community. Oh, it's safe and welcoming for some, maybe for many, but if there's one person that is not welcome, it's not safe and it's not welcoming. So do we give up because it's too hard, or do we work to make change? Now, we can only control ourselves. I used to think I could control everybody, but that didn't work very well for me. I'm sorry, Mike. Is that something you wish to share with all?
I said you don't say. Go along, go ahead.
Moving on. It's hard. It's hard when you feel disenfranchised yourself. But you know, if you have felt disenfranchised, what that feels like. And you can use the strength of that emotion to make a difference, to help to make a safe place. Some of us in this room or watching online have felt disenfranchised for many reasons. Maybe it's our heritage, our sexuality, our gender, our shyness, our age. We know inside of us, all of us, what it feels like not to feel safe. In fact, some of us have to forego things or change things to feel safe. But if we're going to sign up to Together We Will, we need to work together so that nobody has to hide a part of themselves, so nobody has to change their name to fit in with a society that won't give them work or opportunity because their name is Hispanic. We know El Paso was targeted because of their Mexican connection. Because the rhetoric has been made that the Mexicans are rapists, are killers, are drug smugglers, and the list goes on. El Paso could pack up shop and say, no more. We can't take this. We can't make this a safe place. And yet, I was listening to Beto O'Rourke the other day, and he was saying the community has come together and is stronger and safer than it ever was. Because no matter what happened, this community is going to stick together. And this community is going to work together. And if El Paso can do that, Gainesville, we can too. Can you put the next one? So the next commitment in there is together we will educate ourselves. We will have dialogue, not debate, with each other to hear each other's stories. We will learn about our history that informs our present. And we will learn about inequity and its impact on our community. So what does it mean to educate ourselves? It means we know this, and this is our norm and our right, and stepping out of that and saying, actually, I want to hear about your norm. I want to hear about your story. I want to hear about how society has taken away your rights. And not with a defensive response that says, oh, but, yes, but, oh, but, I'm not the person that makes those rules. I'm going to share, there's a little video. I can't remember if it's Hyacinth Bouquet or another lady that did it. Now, those of you who have watched any British television, it's called, her name is Hyacinth Bucket, but she's such a snob, she likes to be known as Hyacinth Bouquet. And she did this little video, and in the video, she sat with family, and she suddenly says, it's your fault. And her family are like, what? What's my fault? It's your fault the country is in the mess that it's in. Your fault, your fault, your fault, and your fault. What do you mean it's my fault? What have I ever done? You know when they bought the self-checkouts in the supermarkets? What did you do to stop that? Because that's taking jobs away from people. Oh, but I don't use it. Oh, you think that helps? Did you go and rally the shop and say, this is not what we want? Did you go and stand outside the shop and refuse to go in there to let them know that we're not putting up with this? Well, no, but I don't use it. It's not enough. It's your fault because you like t-shirts that are £1. This is an English video. You like t-shirts that are £1 that are made by somebody in the middle of Taiwan or in China that gets paid not even £1 a month. But it's okay because you got your cheap t-shirt. And she went on in this video. And you know, sometimes we are like that. We are so defensive that we say it's not my fault that the system oppresses our African American community. It's not my fault that our system oppresses women. But actually, sometimes it is. And if we are willing to sit and listen, if we are willing to listen to the stories of others, then we can understand a system that oppresses and how we feed into that system. When we learn about history, we know how it informs how we are now. The next one. Together we will examine ourselves. We will explore how we intentionally or unintentionally participate in systems that perpetuate hate and discrimination. We will reflect on and turn away from our silence of the past. Sometimes we hear family or friends making jokes about groups of people. And we say, oh, you know, that's just them. We'll walk away from that. That's silence. That feeds that behaviour. When we hear people from government saying, go back home to 4 women who are American, and we don't say something about it, we feed that system. Because silence is the biggest feeder of the system. We've done some work in our mustard seed, and I encourage you to come on Wednesday nights to looking at racism and systemic racism and how we play a part in that, how we don't even understand. If we don't explore how we are unintentionally participating in systems, the systems don't change. Something I learned this week, actually it was last week. I was sat with a friend who has a large house in rural Dorset. And I was talking about the gun culture here because I still can't get my head around it at all. For me, there is no need for guns. None.
Amen.
But I know some of you do have a need for guns. But I just want to explain that by sitting and listening to my friend, he helped me to understand. You see, he said that my friends all around here, this is rural, I'm talking rural, Dorset. He said they all have guns. And I nearly fell off my seat. He said, I've got loads upstairs. I really nearly fell off my seat. And he said, but that's sport. You ask anybody around here why they've got a gun and they say it's for sport, for shooting, for pheasants, for whatever they're shooting. If you ask people in America, why have you got a gun? To defend myself. And the penny dropped. I was willing to, instead of say, but there shouldn't be, but, and I listened. To defend myself. And when you have a culture that needs to defend itself, that's a whole different ballgame. For me. Now I understand why people say, yeah, but taking the gun away isn't going to stop this. Now I have my own opinions and I will share them privately if anybody wants them. But when I sat and I heard that penny really dropped. And you know, when we listen to each other, the pain and the system oppression, the penny can drop for us. Each of us has the opportunity to make a change. As I said, sometimes it's about looking inward and not outward. So what we're launching on Saturday is Together We Will. And I would add to that, together we can.
Amen. Amen.